like you kind of opened this up with, it kind of was that inability to conform to the Democrats' message, right? That lost them so many people. They wanted to continue down this path that just wasn't sustainable. People were tired of the illegal immigration crisis. At the end of the day, like, if you look at California right now, they just started arresting people for shoplifting, which is crazy that's even news. Yeah, that just broke today.
All right, Savanah Hernandez here today, America Fest, my first one.
Yes. How are you liking it so far?
I'm loving it. This is probably, your fifth one at this point?
Fourth, yeah. But
Nice.
It's always fun. Lots of good energy, especially after the Trump win. So, we're vibing.
Yeah, because the last three haven't been on wins, so this must be the best one.
It is the best one. Your first one is one of the best ones you've come to, so that is very good. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit antisocial and my social battery gets drained, but this has been a pretty cool event, and it's been nice to see the culture start to bleed in. Like, typically these are pretty political. You'd only see people in the right wing, but it's like, I ran into my friend Brittany Martinez, who runs EV Magazine, which is like a female-oriented magazine.
Yeah.
Michaela Peterson was here, which was cool because,
Nice.
again, it's like we're seeing the cross of like cultural people who don't typically come to political events like yourself.
Yeah.
So welcome. It's cool.
Well, I think that's why the Republicans won this election. They were including everyone while the Democrats kind of were keeping it tight.
Yeah, I think that identity politics played very well for the Democrats for the past decade, to be quite honest. And it finally came to bite them in the ass and I think people are just tired of being pushed into corners, being scared to tell the truth about how they actually feel about things. They were tired of not being able to tell edgy jokes. One of the reasons why I think that my reporting hits well with the average person is because I don't try to make it super political. I basically go out with a camera and I'm kind of like, hey, this is what's going on. Let's talk to Americans, whether on the right or the left, and ask them how they're living through modern day America and what they're experiencing.
Absolutely. What were your first viral reports on?
This year or like going all the way back?
Probably this year. You probably don't remember that far back.
I know, I'm an old woman now. No, I'm kidding. My most viral this year came out of Maine, Brunswick. They are giving migrants apartments for free for 2 years. These are luxury apartments. And this story blew up because there's actually a housing crisis in Maine. So if you want to buy a home over there, it's going to cost you about $480,000. These premier apartments, they're marketed as luxury apartments. If you want to rent one, it's going to cost you $1,800 for a one bedroom, $2,300 for a two bedroom. These migrants are getting them for free for 2 years, utility, water paid, and they come furnished.
Wow.
So the Maine residents were extremely upset about this because they have a housing crisis. It's extremely expensive to live up there. And those apartments were initially built for Maine residents, and then they put migrants in them. Crazy.
And New York City was doing that with some hotels, right?
Yeah, that was another big story this year, which this was actually back in 2023. But I had a whistleblower who worked at the Row Hotel, which at the time was the largest migrant hotel. I want to say there was about 2,000 to 3,000 migrants, if I remember correctly, a block away from Times Square. Row Hotel, they had rooms going for like $500 a night. And again, for the average American, look, I've always wanted to go to New York, right? I've always wanted to go and be a tourist there. It'd be super cool to be in a hotel in the middle of Times Square. Some of the migrants telling us they could see the ball drop from their rooms. They're living here for free. On top of that, they're getting free medical care. They're getting free food. They're getting free Metro cards so they can ride the subway. It was absolutely insane. And then we even got an inside look. And my whistleblower just showed me these hotel rooms completely trashed. And there was water damage because the migrants don't really care about taking care of their rooms. So this issue has been absolutely insane to report on over the past couple of years.
That's messed up. Well, now you got the New York City mayor looking kind of fed up, and he told Trump, you're good to go if you want to get these guys out of here.
Yeah, it's hilarious because, Mayor Eric Adams is at the forefront of kind of being like, we're a sanctuary city. We love everybody. Everybody's welcome. And I want to say it got to the point when they were about to hit the cusp of 100,000 illegal immigrants in New York when Eric Adams finally said, this issue will destroy New York City. We need to get it under control. He was fighting with the Biden administration for the past couple of years. Of course, the federal government was essentially ignoring his pleas for help.
Yep.
And, it caused this rift within the Democratic Party. And like you kind of opened this up with, it kind of was that that inability to conform to the Democrats' message, right? That lost them so many people. They wanted to continue down this path that just wasn't sustainable. People were tired of the illegal immigration crisis. At the end of the day, like, if you look at California right now, they just started arresting people for shoplifting, which is crazy that that's even news. Yeah, that just broke today. And it's like, that's the Democrat Party, whether it has to do with...
Shout out to today's sponsor, Prolon. If starting the year with a fast feels a little daunting, you're not alone. There's an entire community of individuals wanting to make a meaningful decision in their health, just like you. This is what makes group fasting so powerful and why I'm joining in on Prolon's January Longevity Challenge, which is a coach-led program to set you up for fasting success. Prolon's fasting mimicking diet is a revolutionary plant-based nutrition program that nourishes the body while making cells believe they're fasting. I got all 5 boxes here and I'm starting day 1 tomorrow. It's researched and developed for decades at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by leading US medical centers. It helps promote healthy blood sugar, enhanced skin appearance, fat loss, and improved energy and focus. It all starts with their 5-day program, which contains snacks, soups, and beverages designed to keep the body in a fasting state. No guesswork or planning required, which is a relief after a busy holiday. If you guys are ready to make 2025 your healthiest year yet, order your Prolon 5-day kit at prolonlife.com/DSH. And they're offering Digital Social Hour listeners 15% off their 5-day nutrition program. Use the code DSH at prolonlife.com/DSH.
Crime, economy, their district attorneys being out of hand, the illegal immigration crisis. I mean, the politicization of our intelligence agencies against political opposition. It's like the Democrats really did get out of hand. And I do like to be neutral with this. And again, look at both sides of the aisle. I don't think Republicans are perfect either, but Democrats went damn crazy, to be quite honest, over the past couple of years.
I mean, you saw with the election, I think the numbers spoke for themselves.
Oh, yeah. I have not seen a bigger defeat in my lifetime. I'm only 28 years old, so I've only covered a couple of presidential elections, but it was insane because I don't know about you, but I was not expecting the Electoral College, the popular vote, all 7 swing states.
Yeah,
I was not expecting the 7 swing states.
Definitely not. And then you got the Denver mayor kind of going at Tom Homan right now. Did you see that?
Of course I did. And you know what's funny too is another one of my viral stories this year was out of Aurora, Colorado. So for maybe some of the listeners who are not aware of what happened there, quick overview. Trinidad Agua took over apartment complexes in the city. The media is still pretending that this is a lie, even though a lawsuit was brought forth because the landlord of that apartment hired a law firm and they investigated it and came out with all of this evidence to show that even their management team had their lives threatened. One of the management members actually was beat up. My friend got these photos. We released it on Frontline's TPUSA. He got punched in the face by these Trinidad Agua members because he was going to evict them. And they said no. They beat his ass and they were threatening the management. They were threatening to kill them. So this is absolutely something that was going on. It made national news. Not only did the police chief of Aurora try to cover it up, but so did the mayor of Aurora and the mayor of Denver. Wow. When I went over there, I found out that there was, because an NGO was putting on a migrant protest, they wrote all these poster boards for the migrants in English that read, "There's no Trinidad Agua here. It's so safe. This is about slum landlords." I found out that that NGO was paid for by the city of Denver and the city of Aurora. And what's happening right now, because I have a police source who just reached out to me 2 days ago.
Yeah.
He was telling me that the TDA issue is still huge over there. Luckily, they have a new police chief who is a little bit more truthful about it. But we're still at the period of time where police are having to reach out to me with tips anonymously because the police chief is still trying to privatize reports. There was I think it was like, I want to say the number was 13 to 15 Trinidad Agua members, alleged members, that kidnapped, assaulted, tied up, and stabbed 2 victims earlier this week. Wow. The police privatized the reports already because they don't want the information of how brutal this assault was to get out. My police source telling me that the female victim had her fingernails forcefully removed in an act of torture.
What?
So that's what's going on. And it's like, if you're living in Aurora, Colorado, would you like to know that information? Would you like to be privy to the fact that maybe these people are walking alongside your children?
I didn't know police could privatize information like that.
They privatize the police report because they say they only want the investigators to have access to it because they're investigating the case and they don't want information to be leaked that could hamper or harm the case. Essentially, this is another cover-up in action.
Yeah, that is crazy. That needs to get out there more for sure.
Yeah.
That needs to be exposed.
And it's heartbreaking that, I mean, it's good and it's bad, right? Like we're living in an insane time where independent journalists have more power than ever.
Oh, yeah.
Because instead of having to go through the process of like, well, let me request a police report and maybe the police will give it to me if they want to. Or maybe because I requested the police report, now they know which body cam footage to hide. Instead of going through this long process, it's like, please speak to independent journalists directly. They're like, hey, here's this video, you didn't get it from me. Here's this news tip, you didn't get it from me. And we're essentially circumventing this entire machine that has been created to help cover up the worst atrocities in this country.
The power shifting, you saw it with the CR meetings this week.
Oh, that was incredible.
Yeah.
Hilarious that Mike Johnson canceled his speaking.
Ironic, right?
Here. I know.
The timing is weird.
And you know what? I honestly feel like it would have been better for his reputation to come, quite frankly. And I think he should have come and apologized to people. And even if he got booed off that stage, if he had come up and said, you know what? I shouldn't have introduced a 1,500-page bill 8 days before Christmas. I apologize and we will do better as the next Congress. I think that people would have garnered a lot of respect for him. But him canceling, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, though. I think if he owned up to it, he could have came back from it. But now I don't know if it's possible to come back from something like that.
Exactly.
To double down on that take.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I want to talk about one of your most viral incidents at the TSA. So there's that new thing where they take a photo of you, right?
Yeah.
So you're allowed to turn that down.
Yes. I want people to know you can opt out of this, okay? So I just don't like the government. Like, I understand that we're being surveilled every single day.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating to me because the people in power, and my biggest thing too, Sean, is about authority and just pushing back against it and being like, you know what? I actually don't have to do what you say. The government is supposed to work for the people, not the people fearing the government and being subservient to them. And I think a lot of Americans have forgot that. Okay. I think a lot of Americans don't even realize that ever since they were little kids, the education system was created to teach them to be subservient to authority, to never, break outside of that box and realize, like, maybe I don't have to do what the authorities say all the time. Maybe I don't have to follow arbitrary rules. I think COVID was a very good turning point where a lot of people were like, okay, wearing a face mask to go and walk to a table in a restaurant and then taking it off when I sit down is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I think that kind of woke a lot of people up. But there's so many arbitrary rules in society that people don't even know that they can say no to, like the TSA thing. Yeah. And so the reason I got upset about this, and so many people were calling me a Karen, and they were like, you think you're above the rules? No, why in the actual hell, and this is just a common sense perspective, am I handing a TSA agent my ID, also having to get my face scanned at the same time, and then the TSA agent is physically having to look at my ID and match it to my face? It doesn't make any sense. I think it's a form of societal conditioning or psychological conditioning to get us all on board with facial recognition and facial scanning, which again, I know our faces are getting scanned as we go through the airport every day, but I think it's more about the psychology of being willing to get your face scanned. I don't like it, and that's why I made such a fuss about this.
Yeah, you could also turn down the body scanners in the airport, the ones where you got to raise your arms, because those are actually pretty bad for you.
Dude, I know. And I travel so much. And every single time I go through those, I'm like, I'm going to get cancer. And, and it's kind of scary, right? And you know what I was thinking about too? The other day, I was like, do you ever think about the fact that like pretty much every single tech product that's released to the public, we're basically being mass experimented on, like AirPods?
Yep, AirPods. I turned off my facial recognition the other day because I just learned it has enhanced EMF on that too.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's what I'm saying. We're being blasted all the time. And people are like, no, this is awesome. Like, just accept it. It's great. And I'm like, no, we don't know the long-term repercussions of this.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. Like at Whole Foods now, you check out with your wrist. Have you seen that?
Dude, that's what I'm saying. And again, I wish people could see the long-term progression of what this leads to. And I actually did have the honor of going to Hong Kong during their anti-CCP protest when they were falling facial recognition towers because people were getting disappeared for speaking out against the Chinese government.
Whoa.
So that's why I'm like, okay, y'all see a little face scanner that makes your life easier. I see a government that is going to absolutely weaponize a subservient population and start giving us social credit scores, which, by the way, they've already been doing. Yep. They monitor all of our social media. Oh, you like Donald Trump? Social credit score goes down. Oh, you want to question the vaccines because maybe perhaps it is strange that vaccine companies aren't held liable and you want to simply ask questions about that. Social credit score goes down.
Yeah.
This is something that was actually implemented in China that led to millions of people not being able to buy plane tickets, train tickets, leave the country.
Wow.
And we're talking about things as simple as like if you jaywalk or if you walk your dog without a leash, your social credit score goes down. You can't buy gas in China. Go look that up. I'm not crazy. It's an actual thing.
Have you not seen Black Mirror, people? Come on now.
Exactly. I know. And it's like, it's not just make believe, right? It's not just a Netflix show. This is what we're all living through. People just don't realize it, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those episodes actually come true later on if you look back at the older ones.
I can't watch Black Mirror because it's depressing. And I'm just like, oh gosh.
I remember when 5G was a conspiracy theory. now it's like, oh, it's actually been proven to cause damage now.
I remember when, like gay frogs was a conspiracy and that got proven true. Fluoride in the water. Isn't it crazy how like fluoride in our water supply is now an actual talking point?
Yeah.
We're seeing the studies, again, the long-term effects of it, which is happening 10, 20 years down the line. But of course, like the people who are at the forefront of talking about that were labeled like crazy conspiracy theorists.
Alex Jones got canceled for that one.
Yeah, and it's like now us with the AirPods, right? Like, dude, I swear every time I put them in my ear, I'm like, I can feel my brain getting microwaved.
I don't wear them. I can't. If I do pods, it's wired only. That's it.
Yeah, I need to. My problem is I always have my pods in my purse and I don't have the wires, but I can feel my brain cells getting microwaved every time.
You're probably sensitive. There's a percentage of people that are sensitive to EMF.
I can feel it. I swear I can.
Yeah, you got to be careful, man.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, what's next for you?
Illegal immigration. It has been my primary focus, primarily because my last name is Hernandez. So, who better to deliver this message to the American people, because we know that the left loves to play identity politics. And I don't know, my view on it is I'm an American citizen and I care about my fellow American citizens. And I want to try to highlight and make popular caring about one's nation and caring about the people in our nation, right? If you're an American citizen, incredible. We should be upholding American ideals and trying to at least preserve our country. And you shouldn't have open borders. I mean, if you look at what's happening in Europe right now, their demographic has completely changed. Their culture has completely changed. We had 10 to 12 million people over the last 4 years come into this country. And I've already seen our own, I don't know if I would say culture quite yet, but for example, as a female, I get nervous when I get into an Uber and my Uber driver cannot speak to me in English. I think it's a safety concern for women. Every single time I fly through the airport, I see illegal immigrants. People got mad at the TSA video as well because they were like, how do you know they're illegals? I've covered this extensively. They're walking through the airport with manila folders with the big name of an NGO and all of their information on the front so people can help direct them to the airport. Again, a lot of these people are not vetted.
Wow.
They're coming into the country. Many of them have prior records. They've been involved with a lot of crimes. And I think it's just horrific that we're at this point in our country. Sorry that this was such like a long
you're good.
run-on response to this. But what's next is for me highlighting the mass deportations, because what is going to happen over the next couple of years is the multi-billion-dollar media that we fight against is going to push out the greatest propaganda scheme that they can regarding the mass deportations. They're going to play on everybody's emotions. And we Americans are going to forget, because we are emotional people. Like, we don't want to see women and children getting deported. I do think it's going to be a sad thing to watch. Simultaneously, it's also sad that American women and children are being killed every single day by illegal immigrants who shouldn't be in this country.
Right.
So I'm going to try to really highlight the Americans who have been impacted by illegal immigration, who have lost family members because of this issue, and the reality of what Americans have been experiencing, so we don't forget as these mass deportations are happening. Yeah.
One last question. I grew up in Edison, New Jersey, actually.
Really?
I saw you cover the town council protest, so I want to ask about that. So what happened there?
Okay, so Edison, New Jersey, they have a town council, very small area. It was my first time over there. The town council passed an ordinance saying that props were banned from the meetings. Now, an attorney, a resident, came and he waved an American flag in protest. He got escorted out by 2 police officers. So the town council president had him escorted out. This caused so much controversy because it made nationwide news, obviously. People saying the Constitution isn't a prop, the American flag isn't a prop, and how dare you ban our country's flag from our meetings. So many residents came out to that next meeting that at that very meeting, they said, we are going to reverse this ordinance. We are all going to vote to repeal it. And that vote will be happening on January 8th. So many people showed up that in live time, they were able to make a very quick impact on what could have potentially been an ordinance that was impeding on their First Amendment right.
Crazy. Yeah, it's such a small town that stuff like that's happening. It's crazy.
Yeah. It was cool though to see, even on the small scale, the impact that just the citizens in their town had. And I went there in hopes that, I didn't even know that was going to happen. So it was really cool to kind of witness, but I hope that Americans see that. And, if we had that energy in every town and city across America, our country would look so different.
Yeah. And that's needed. You got power in your local communities, right? And you could argue that those are more important than your state meetings. You know?
Exactly. I'm always pushing for local politics. My challenge to everybody is know your local congressman, know your city council members, know your school board, make sure that you're involved in the local politics because we focus on federal. But let's think about what happened during BLM, right? In Portland, they were able to have riots and burn down buildings because their mayor at a local level allowed them to do that. So local politics very much, the federal government only has so much power. It really is the local people who have, a huge say.
Savanah, where can people find you?
You guys can follow me on X at Sav_says_. I work for Frontlines TPUSA. Go check them out. And YouTube and Rumble, Sav Says. Go check it out.
Boom. We'll link below. Thanks for coming on. See you guys.